Good evening. How you doing? Welcome to the Maximize Manhood Man Study. I hope you all are having a great day. My name is Minister Peyton Moore. I'm your Maximize Manhood instructor. I am part of the Lakewood Church up under Pastor Joel Osteen, my leader John Bowman, and Bruce Gibbons. And I appreciate them giving me the opportunity to be able to teach this class to men that are willing to listen and ready to change their lives and change some ways and habits. We have been studying from a book called Communication, Sex, and Money by Ed Cole. It's a great book. It's a great course to maximize manhood class. The Christian Men Network, I highly recommend that every man get into this class. And they also have the class for the women called the Unique Women. So I highly recommend that men and women get into this class or find a church or find someone and ask questions about who teaches this class. Where do they teach it at? How can I be part of it? Shouts out to my class. We'll be back together soon. And we're going to get right into this, and I hope you all just have a blessed day and enjoy the message today. We're on chapter 19, starting on page 181, and the title today is Do It. Do It. And it starts off talking about a lot of couples, we need to get back to this. I mean, sometimes we get busy, and we're busy with our jobs and careers and businesses and other hobbies and things, and we forget about our loved one, our spouse. Men, we have a tendency to forget about the wife. We're at work, you leave work, you probably go to happy hour, or you're going golfing on the weekend, or hunting, or fishing. And during the week, you forget you're 8 or 10 hours away from home and then when you come home, you're really only giving that spouse maybe about 1 to 2 hours. And then you have children that may only get about 30 minutes to an hour of your time. But here's something that we need to do, is slow down. How about slowing down here? How about let's revamping and changing up some scheduling here where we can spend more time with the one that we love, okay? The one that we are in love with. It starts off talking about, when was the last time that you and your spouse, you and your wife, took a weekend getaway or a week vacation? But I'm talking about when you're going, you're not taking home with you. You're leaving home problems there. You're leaving work at home. You're leaving that laptop at home. What we're going to do, we're going to sit and we're going to hold hands, and we're going to go into our hotel room, and we're going to enjoy each other, and we're going to watch movies. We're going to listen to some nice music and some jazz, and we're going to sit out at the log cabin and just gaze at the skies and the stars at night and listen for the beautiful sounds of the animals. Or we're going to get us a beachfront location, hotel, and we're going to sit on the beach, and we're just going to put our feet in the water. We're just going to enjoy ourselves in the sun, or we're just going to walk on the beach, or just that getaway where it's just you and her, where you can spend this loving quality time to talk about the future, or things that you want to accomplish in your marriage, things that you want to improve on in your marriage. So when was the last time you did that? Because it talks about, in marriage, a sense of oneness is vital. It's very vital. And without it, your marriage can become a continual armed conflict. It become a battle. It's conflict. You're at odds with each other. You got your defense mode up. And if one person say this, you're going to come back and say that. And if one person do this, you're going to come back and do this. And that can lead into a divorce. That can lead into a lot of hurt and pain. There's a scripture in the Bible that says that God hates divorce. The reason that God hates divorce is because he hates the pain and suffering and hurt that you're going to go through. He hates the pain, hurt, and suffering that the children are going to go through, because there's going to be anger. There's going to be a lot of anxiety. There's going to be a lot of separation and division. And in the middle of that, if you have children, the children is the ones that suffer because now they're seeing two parents split apart, away from each other. And the children, they want to love both parents, but they're trying to figure out which one to love and how to love them because they're hearing all the riffraff and all the noise and all the arguments and all the disagreements coming into their ears and into their mind. And that can cause a lot of pain and hurt. Here's a gentleman, he met this beautiful lady in New York in a beautiful summer August. She was tall, she was very attractive, she was well dressed. He said she had on a gray suit that fitted her very well, that showed off her beautiful legs, so evidently she was nice and tall. They talked of Los Angeles. Both of them had returned from there. She wrote down her phone number on a cardboard box. That is old school. Wrote her number down on a cardboard box. So she did that, and that was something that she liked about this gentleman. They called each other, they dated. He met her family, and in that October, August, September, October, in 3 months, they were married. It went along well for a number of years, and they said that their love was deep and wondrous. But he was unable to say 3 words, and those 3 words were, I love you. He bought her beautiful gifts. He bought her beautiful things that her heart desired, but he didn't know what to do to say, I love you. It just couldn't come out. So still, he could not get these words out. And he thought she understood he thought that she understood, but it was difficult for him to just say, I love you. So they moved to Los Angeles, still very much in love. Seemed like things started to go wrong. God had blessed them with a beautiful daughter. Then things started to go more wrong. They couldn't seem to communicate or agree on anything. They had their good times, they had their bad times. But always inside of him was that strong, undying love that he did not express to her. But it was something that held them together. Then they had another daughter, and it seemed like when they started receiving the blessing of another child, that they became more apart. And his question was why, and what's happening at this time? Why are two people so much in love at odds with each other? Why they're destroying each other? Why are they just battling against each other? Why do they have these defense guards up? And a lot of this is going on in homes today. Years passed, and it seemed like each day and each month and each year was getting worse and worse. They was just throwing the bullets at each other, and they started to hurt each other more and more, more and more. And the more this one retaliated, the other one retaliated. And if this one do this one do that. Yet love was still there. But there was something trying to break them down. And the spirit of Satan was trying to find something to pull them apart. So one day, this woman said, guess what? She mentioned divorce. Just to get his attention. I don't know if she was really sincere or not. But she just wanted to get his attention because things was just going haywire. Now, evidently, she didn't file for divorce, but with his machoism or his ego, he gonna show her who's the boss and who's in control and who's in charge, so he go file for divorce. Well, what he thought is when he filed for divorce, he's gonna live it up, have a good time, he's gonna be out dating beautiful women and having sex and doing this and partying, and he never had to tell these women that he loved them. But guess what? All of that changed. So he went on through with the divorce. She wanted him to stop the divorce, but he didn't because he wanted to prove a point to her. So he was devastated and he was miserable and he was unhappy. He figured out that once he got out there and the divorce was final, that was no fancy women. That was no good times. That was only sadness. That was only being lonesome. And this guy grew old. And guess what? He never said he loved you to that wife. And it stayed in his mind. It worked on his conscience. Now you got to remember, this couple from that time to this time was together for 30 years. Through all these 30 years, he never told her, I love you. And he was growing old. He became unhappy. He was tired. He was beaten down. He didn't know what else to do or say. But if he only would have said those 3 words from his heart sincerely, I love you, I believe that their marriage could have stayed together. If they would have just went to get some serious counseling to find out what was the root of the problem. But the root of the problem is that he never said, I love you. Because a woman loves to hear those 3 words, I love you. But you got to mean it sincerely from your heart, men, when you say this. Because her return is going to be, I love you too. Divorce is never the answer. Divorce only creates other problems. When you think that you're going to move on, you can, but it's going to be some difficulties. It's going to be some pain. It's going to be some hurt. It's going to be some things that you didn't get rid of before you get into that next relationship. So my wife always say, before you open that door to the new relationship, make sure that the old door was closed. I've been married 3 times, divorced twice. Me and my first wife was young. We had children out of wedlock. We had a child out of wedlock, and then we had another child that was aborted while we was married, and then before we got married, and then we got married right before our 3rd child. Okay, so it hurt. It hurt. And as the years go on, I think about it. I go back, and then the second marriage was a marriage out of lust and just a lot of other things, which later on love kicked in, but it was too late. And then divorce was filed. And then about 3 years later, I remarried, but me and my wife now, we met each other while I was in the midst of the separation, going into the divorce from my second wife. I just want to make that clear. And today we've been together a total of 16 years. It was tough. It was tough. And it was a lot of challenges there. And because sometimes, as I say, you bring some things over to the new relationship, and then there's conflict. What you want to do is let's put down the pride. Let's put down the machoism as men, because you don't want to continue to have this conflict and these wars of defense in your marriage. So the thing is, what usually happens, men usually try to dominate the woman by the use of money, and men will use money to dominate the woman, to show him who's in power, and he'll try to use his power to control her with money. And the woman will use sex to control the man, or show him she's in power. Okay? And a lot of this comes from past children seeing their parents in that position. Here's another story that I want to talk about. It's about a couple named Roy and Mary. Here's an example of that. Roy's father, he had a problem with always connecting with the pastors of his church as a buddy. And he would always go to the pastor before he would talk to his wife about any situation, in which that is wrong. You should talk to your wife first about anything that you need to make a decision on together and see if it's feasible for the family or not before you make that decision. But he went to the pastor first, then he would come to the wife, and by that time, things is already distorted. Okay, but as a young child, his father dragged him down a church aisle when he was 10 years old because he was embarrassed that his son hadn't made a decision, I guess, to do something that he wanted him to do. Now, Roy's father spent a lot of time. He jumped from job to job. He went from town to town, and he was abusive to his children. And Roy was one of the children. I think he's one of the younger children. And he was also abusive, according to what I'm reading. He terrorized his wife into a breakdown. So he was probably verbally abusive and possibly physically abusive to her. So as Mary said, that they married when they was young. I think it says that he was in his 20s and she was about 21. Roy was still taking care of his mother. His mother had divorced his father when he was a teenager. And I think, as it says, as the younger child, that Roy continued to help his mother and support her. Okay. Now, when him and Mary got married, see, Mary came from a family where the mother was the head of the household and the mother dominated the household. The mother didn't answer to anybody. She made all the decisions. And that's what Mary saw. Well, what Roy saw was that he saw his dad in his ways of, I'm the head, I'm this, I'm that, and I'm in charge. You do as I say. And you should be submissive to me as a wife. So now what you got is two people who have came from a father who was abusive, and you see the lady, she come from a household where the mother dominated the household and she was in control to make all decisions. Okay, so they both had some insecurities, they had some emotional problems, and as I said, it was kind of like a basket case. And there was a lot of things that later on came into their marriage which caused them to have some problems. So Roy was very deliberate. He was super sensitive to criticism. He was stubborn and very much under the same influence like his dad was, which he always went to the pastor first before he came to his wife to talk about anything. Roy had became a Christian, and his pastor had drummed up in his head that, oh yeah, you're the head of the household and blah, blah, blah. But then that became a problem because Roy started to monitor everything that Mary had done as far as how much bath water she's using. He rearranged the kitchen. He was telling her, no, we don't want that furniture. We want this furniture. Put this over there. But he was kind of like taking a domination over her. So in her eyes, she didn't understand that because she thought that submission was only for women who weren't smart enough to learn their own way and stand up for themselves. You got to remember, she came from a household where her mother was dominant. There was no man in the house. So her mother called the shots. So they had some problems, and she also made, Mary also made more money than Roy. So, and she didn't like that. She had to turn her paycheck over to him for him to make decisions about what they're going to do with the money. But in this case right here, when you're a married couple, it shouldn't matter who make the most money. I mean, somebody may have a better education than the other person. Some person may have some degrees, the other one may not. Or it just all depends on the job and the pay. But when you're married, no matter who make the most money, you're still a married couple, and that income should come together for you to take care of your household and make the correct decisions according to what God's word says. Okay, so they did go get some counseling, but they still had a tough time because Roy was still making some sarcastic comments, and she would come right back at him with a sting. and which that still caused some conflicts. But as time went on, they had children, they bought a home and everything, and it seemed like every time the years and years were still going by, even out the council, they were still having a tough time. And, you know, if she pushed him, he pushed her. And it seemed that she said that she didn't think that she could please him and satisfy him. And it just became a disaster. Until one night, Ross said, you know what? This is not working. And men, one day you're going to say this is not working. So I need to get some help. If you can't both go get help together as an individual, please go get some help. So he decided that one night, Ed Cole was in town with the Maximize Manhood class, and he decided to go to the meeting. He went. Guess what? She was kind of like, oh, okay, blah, 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 but she kept her mouth closed, and he went. And guess what? He got blessed. When he came back home, he apologized to her. He talked to her. He let her know how much he loved her and appreciated her. She was a teacher. She stopped teaching, and she became a full-time mother. He told her how grateful he was for that, and he wanted to be supportive of her, and he apologized to her sincerely and asked for forgiveness. And from that point on, they really started working on their marriage, and she started supporting him. He started supporting her. They came together as one. Number one thing that they started realizing is that they began talking and praying together about big things and little things. He realized that, no, you don't go to your pastor to make decisions for your household. You go to your wife and you sit down and you make decisions for your family. That's what you do. Whoa, so it's a good story. So, you know, they still have some dinner, but you know what? Things were getting better because they realized that as a couple, they became a unit, and they realized that without prayer, praying together and praying for each other, there was a division. They was constantly going against each other, because in order to have prayer, what prayer does, prayer pulls you together to produce an intimate relationship with Jesus Christ in your marriage. That's what prayer does. So, you know, we just got to come together and just be gentle and be loving and be kind. And, you know, as you say, men will use their money. Women will use sex to show who's in power. Well, we got to put all of that aside, put all of that down and say, God, I need you to show me how to be, first of all, a better man, a better husband, and a better father to my family. And also, I want to be the man that you created me to be on this earth. So this is what we need to do today. First of all, you need to sincerely tell your wife that you love her. And let her know that you are in love with her. And there is no one else and there is nothing else that can come between you all. Some men wait too late to change. Some never change. Okay? If you want to save your marriage today and your family, don't take a chance on waiting too late. Today is today to do it. Today is the day. Now is the time. Whatever you need to say, say it. Whatever you need to do, do it. Hey, look, we can sit down. We can talk about some things. Yes, it may hurt. But at the end of the day, did we get it out? Yes. Will there be some feelings hurt? Yes. Will there be some joy and happiness come out of it? Yes. But what we want to do is get all the garbage out the way so we can continue on from this day forward and the future and have a great marriage. But the only way you're going to do that, you got to put God first. You got to follow the commandments of God. You got to follow his words. You got to put your marriage in God's hand, because when you married up under a covenant. You got to love your wife as Christ loved the church. You must love her. You must honor her. You must respect her. She must love you. She must honor you, she must respect you, and she must love you. Yes, we're going to have some conflicts. Yes, we're going to have some arguments. Yes, we're going to have some disagreements. But at the end of the day, we must love each other. Then come together as one. So I hope you all enjoyed this class tonight, and just continue to stay focused on Jesus Christ. Amen. Completion of communication, sex, and money. You all have a nice day.